From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Kruger. Thank you so much for joining me here for your evening update. Well, we got a warming trend the rest of the week, but here's the thing. This is something I've noticed over the last 24 to 48 hours is that the forecast models are trending a little bit cooler with this heat wave. And it looks like now as we go into the long range with the cooler weather that we expect next week, not as cool as initially expected either. So there are going to be some changes here in your evening forecast. No major changes. It's still going to be hot during this heat wave, and we're still going to see a cool down after that, but not quite to the extreme that we initially thought. So again, we do expect that bigger drop in those temperatures again, and with the chance for those mountain showers by early next week as well. So let's talk about that heat again. And of course, it's the heat advisory for Humboldt County. Basically for Friday, temperatures will most likely be just right around or just above 100 degrees. For Trinity County, upper 90s to a little over 100 degrees here, and that's for Friday. And then Saturday, probably in the 90s. And then for the Valley, temperatures could possibly, in some of the warmer spots, get up to about 107, but we're talking about 103 to 106 on average. And then Saturday, it should be not as hot. Let's just put it that way. We'll get into all of that here in just a bit, but here's your Kruger's Quick Cast for your Wednesday, May 28th. And for tonight, with the warmer air still in place and calmer winds, temperatures around 60 give or take for the valley, 40s and 50s for the higher elevations, and looks like somewhere in the low 50s overnight tonight for the coast. Out the door tomorrow morning, you are going to see a few clouds out there, especially along the coast, even some of the higher elevations as well. But temperature is still fairly mild, even at 8 o'clock in the morning, 50s and 60s really across the board. So we have this area of low pressure off to our west. That's beginning to break away a bit at the ridge of high pressure, which is why it wasn't quite as hot today. And even though once this moves through, we are going to see temperatures probably increase a little bit tomorrow, it's high pressure down to our south. That's really going to build in by the end of the week, and that's going to be that bigger heat wave we were talking about. So the winds, as we take you into tomorrow morning, are going to be calmer, but still upwards of around 10, 15 miles per hour from the north, and really not all that breezy for the coast. Then by the afternoon, the wind's picking up a little bit here, about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Still a bit of that northerly breeze, but nothing all that uncommon or unusual or even concerning for this time of the year. But what's a little concerning, obviously, is just how dry it's going to be. Although tomorrow morning, not that bad, in the 40 to 50% range, but we're dropping down into the teens, single digits and low teens. This might be a bit on the high side as far as the reading is concerned, probably somewhere around the low to mid-teens, even for the Redding area as well. So very dry once again for your Thursday afternoon. And I don't expect any rainfall or even any chances for showers or thunderstorms here for tomorrow afternoon. And even the fog that we see along the coast, it's going to eventually work its way back in here for tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy skies for parts of the higher elevations tomorrow afternoon. We're still seeing some of the clouds here along the coast as well at 5 o'clock in the evening. And then by Thursday night, we're still seeing some of that fog, especially out towards Humboldt County, but clear skies elsewhere. So here's your forecast for your Thursday. Temperatures, we'll call it mid-90s on average here for the valley, 80s and even some 90s for some of the warmer spots in the higher elevations. And looks like temperatures will be somewhere in the mid to even some upper 60s for some of the warmer spots out there along the coast. So again, when you'll notice when we look at that 7-day forecast, not as hot as you may remember even just a few days ago. We're looking at about 106 on Friday for Redding and Red Bluff, about 104 in Chico. Temperatures, I'm going to drop even a little bit lower here most likely, but I think the main heat is going to be on Friday, and then we'll see those temperatures drop. Now, you may also recall that by Tuesday of next week, there was the possibility of even some upper 70s at this point. Now the latest forecast models are keeping that cooler air a little bit more off to our east. So there's a look at the coast, inland and for Trinity County. Really the same story here. It's Friday where we expect the biggest heat, and then temperatures do start to drop as we go into the second half of the weekend and early next week. I'm still keeping a chance for some showers Monday, Tuesday for the mountains north and east of the valley, Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains. But do note that the latest forecast model data is now pretty much even taking out those chances for showers as well. but we are still seeing that cooler air begin to move in. So let's get into that deeper dive. Let's talk about some of the changes that we do have in our longer range. But first, I want to talk about the free Weather NorCal app. Search for Weather NorCal in your app store. Download it for free today. If you don't like it, take it off your phone. It's as simple as that. Explore it, check it out. It's 100% local. I think you're really going to like it, so be sure to check that out. So once again, we're seeing that main ridge of high pressure just beginning to break down a little bit as this trough of low pressure and this cooler air begins to ride over that ridge, moderating our temperatures a little bit, but it will still be fairly hot over the next few days, obviously. But there you can see the winds are going to be fairly calm tomorrow morning, and really even in the afternoon, yes, maybe 15, 20 miles per hour out of the north. No big deal, nothing alarming. A little breezy for Friday morning, and then going into Friday afternoon, that north wind about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Again, nothing all that alarming even on Friday. But what I am concerned about is that the elevated fire risk later on in the week. And we can take a look at this. Tomorrow morning, you can see in the 20 to 25% range, although looks like higher relative humidity down to the south. By the afternoon, we're mainly in the moderate category for that fire weather risk. So, you know, again, nothing terribly alarming at this point. Then you can see Friday morning at 8 a.m. already starting off with lower humidity, and more of that moderate fire weather risk, especially for the west side of the valley. And look at by the afternoon on Friday, that fire weather risk is getting in the high to even getting between high and extreme. So we're starting to see some reds for the first time this year on the map. Look how low that humidity is. We're down into the low single digits here for that relative humidity. A bit of a north breeze, but nothing terribly concerning. But keep in mind, this is Friday. This is when we're expecting some of that biggest heat, and that's when we can see some of the highest fire danger as well. So we'll take Futurecast here over the next couple of days, and taking a look at your Thursday morning, there you can see not much in the way of cloud cover even for the coast. Thursday afternoon, partly cloudy skies, but dry for some of the higher elevations, and still some clouds out along the coast. Taking you into your Friday morning, still that fog, especially around Humboldt Bay, northward into northern Humboldt County, and then Friday afternoon, once again, we're seeing the clearing skies here for the coast. There may be a stray shower here and there for southeastern Plumas County, but otherwise it will be dry and hot. And again, the heat advisory, once again, mentioning for Friday for Humboldt County, highs upper 90s to lower 100s for the inland areas. For Trinity County for Friday and Saturday, upper 90s, lower 100s, and for the valley, I'd say anywhere between 103 to 106. Some of the warmer spots maybe just a tad hotter than that. But again, we're trending a little bit lower with this heat wave than initially thought, but still hot. You take a look at the National Weather heat risk, we're pretty much within the red for the valley and the surrounding foothills. What that means is that affects anyone, no matter how healthy you are, if you don't have proper hydration and don't have a way to stay cool. You may have proper hydration and also a way to stay cool, so you might think, oh, it's not a big deal. But if you don't have proper hydration, such as homeless, sometimes even the elderly. Elderly are much more susceptible to this type of heat and as well as young children. So this is that time of the year when we see this excessive heat that we just need to look out for our friends, neighbors, and family. And our pets too, they're susceptible. Then on Saturday, look at this. We're getting out of the reds, getting more in that moderate. It affects most people. Once again, mainly elderly and young children and pets without that proper cooling or that hydration as well. So what does the heat risk scale really mean? Well, take a look at this. When you get into the green, there's nothing to be concerned about. Yellow is basically primarily those individuals that are extremely sensitive to the heat and can be an issue. Now, moderate is mainly people that are sensitive to heat, such as elderly, young children. When you start getting into the red and the magenta or that purple color, that can impact anyone. And again, it's the bottom line is this. If you don't have a proper way to stay cool during these heat waves, then that's when you can start running into issues. And that's why we need to look out and watch out for our friends, neighbors, and family. All right, so again, we've got that warmer air shifting off to the east, this cooler air riding to the north. But by Friday, we've got another ridge building in. This is going to be the hottest we'll be so far for the year on Friday. That shifts to the east. Temperatures start to drop on Saturday. Still pretty hot on Saturday though. Then by Sunday, this cooler air here is going to start to migrate southward. Now, if you've been watching the last few days, the forecast models have been taking this cold air and putting it directly over Northern California. But look at the latest model data. it's now pushing it off to our east as what we call an inside slider. So yes, it will moderate our temperatures, but it won't be as cool as we initially thought. In fact, a bigger impact will be the stronger winds that we will see coming into Monday, Tuesday, and possibly Wednesday of next week. Now, this is obviously a concern because it's after a big heat wave, drying things out with a bit of a north wind as well. And that's going to really elevate that fire risk. So that's something we're going to have to watch here as we go into Tuesday and even Wednesday. This will push a little bit off to the east. The winds may subside a little bit here, but we're still getting a bit of a squeeze play with high pressure to our west, low pressure to our east. Still, maybe some gusty winds once again here, even for your Wednesday. So let's talk about those temperatures. You can see those temperatures peaking on Friday. Again, not quite as cool as we thought, but still right around normal by Tuesday, and then they start to tick back upward near the middle and latter part of next week into that next weekend. Taking a look at those wave heights, they may increase a little bit here for your Thursday, but no small craft advisories as of yet, and you can see they may increase a little bit more for your Friday as well. All right, so here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mainly in the 80s, a little bit cooler down to the south with 70s and 80s south of Highway 299. I'm keeping that chance for showers possibly on Tuesday, but overall those chances are beginning to diminish a bit. 71 degrees for Blue Lake, 81 for Garberville tomorrow, and 82 degrees for Alder Point. I don't anticipate any shower chances for the North Coast, inland, or the coast. There's the peak of the heat wave on Friday. Temperatures start to drop after that as we do go into the second half of the weekend and early next week. Siskiyou County, I'm keeping the chance for showers Monday and Tuesday, but bear in mind, the latest forecast models have really backed off on that potential for rain come Monday, Tuesday of next week. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of forecast model runs. But there you can see temperatures in the low 80s for your Thursday for most of us in Modoc County. Same story with that chance for rain. It's very minimal. The forecast models are backing off for everyone, including the Eastern Mountains and Modoc County, but I'm still keeping that chance in there. It's still on my radar. I'm still watching it closely, and I'll keep you updated as the more forecast model runs come in. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Temperatures should be in the, we'll call it average out in the mid-90s for your daytime highs for tomorrow, and then temperatures increasing with the peak of the heat wave on Friday. So again, you'll notice I'm starting to shave off more and more each forecast model run with those daytime highs. So not quite as hot as initially thought, but still well over 100 degrees. And for the first time this year, temperatures still in the 90s on Sunday, back down to the 80s by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with your overnight lows. Yeah, pretty mild here for Friday night and Saturday morning in the low 70s. 96 degrees for Redding, Anderson, Cottonwood, Red Bluff, Palisadro, Bella Vista, about 95, 90 in Whiskeytown, and 91 degrees for Lakehead. And there's your 7-day forecast for Redding. I got you at about 106 on Friday, 103 on Saturday. Temperatures continue to drop mid to upper 80s for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's your evening update. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and live on Coffee with Kruger at 6:30. Have a great night.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.